Folks, it's Friday night. We're live. It's an episode of the Ultimate Schmoedown Show with me, Colin, over there. John, how's it going, bud?
It's going all right, but how you doing? Be honest with me.
Moving. I'm a little tired. Went down 3 flights of stairs and then took it all back up 3 flights of stairs. So,
did you do the Ross and Chandler pivot, or was it Chandler?
I've not gotten to
Mike?
the couch yet. That's tomorrow. So the pivot, there's the slight, you gotta get. I haven't had to move anything with another human yet, right? Like everything's just been boxes. So unfortunately, in a 1-bedroom apartment, you don't necessarily have the most space to pack. So we got to get stuff into the new place before we can, really pack up the old place. So we've just had a couple of days of getting stuff over, but I like the new place a lot. It's fun. We got a lot more space. Behind me is my kitchen. From now on, I mean, this might be the last show you see the green screen. For all I know.
Oh, wow.
I have lights going behind, a whole bookshelf with books and movies and all this fun stuff. So,
man, what a tease.
Yeah, what a tease. Who knows?
I mean, I guess for the people at home, I just got my first poster, and it's not even up yet. But that'll also be there next time. So we're all going through fun, wild changes on the Ultimate Schmoedown Show.
And the Outlaw Nation. The Outlaw himself is moving down to San Diego.
Is that true?
Yep. He confirmed on, I guess it was yesterday's SEN. The move starts this week. And then the Outlaw said that he's very willing and able to just drive up to the LA area for anything needed. Even if Christian needs him to host a Thursday show, he said he'd be willing to drive up and drive back down. I'm pretty sure if to the two people here who, with me in my StreamYard call, who can hang with this concept, I think he might do it twice. And then he'll be like, I don't know about every Thursday, Christian. Maybe every other Thursday.
Yeah. Well, who knows how long we'll even be doing everything digitally anyways, right. And how much it'll even matter. And speaking of, we had 4 digital matches to talk about, Colin, as we wrapped up round 2.
Round 2 kind of felt like an all-star tournament to me. Like it kind of felt like at some points like, oh, this is happening. Like, oh, let me just stop. Like we'd be moving, we'd be packing stuff. And I was like, oh wait, Paul Oyama and Jeff Snyder's today. Like what? Like you got to just like kind of slow down and wrap. Like that's a huge, huge match. Every match this week had implications that involved hype, that involved legacy. I think those are 2 huge words that we can carry through the show, is that legacy was on the line and, places in, I think, Schmoedown lore. Jeff Snyder, one of those guys who keeps being talked about as a forgotten person, forgotten player in this game. The guy statistically is only comparable to Dan Murrell when it comes to wins and when it comes to the things that the guy's been involved with when it comes to the Schmoedown. So this week was full of it. So let's start off at the top, though, with the Beast versus the Barbarians, the double B. We got he's just a guy who does everything the Beast does, and his name even starts with B, John.
That's true. That's a true fact. Same letter of the alphabet.
Starts with John. All right. Your last name also starts with John. Your last name also starts with B. So
no, the correct spelling of my name is actually John R. So you're
John.
actually right about
I thought
that.
you were going to tell me it was a silent B. It was Bajan.
I make everyone say at least 3 B's every time they talk to me. It's never silent. Barbarian versus Bibiani, one of those interesting kind of matches like you were talking about. A little bit of the legacy argument is William Bibiani, someone who's been a legend in this game for quite some time, going up against the Barbarian, one of the standout rookies so far of this past season, because I believe this was his first season, unless he had like maybe 1 match in previous season, or if he doesn't count as a rookie because he was featured in a story scene from last year. Correct. But this was a pretty interesting match. 2 people that have sort of not really similar energies, But certainly I think similar reps as far as the fans are now concerned, because Barbarian is also one of those rookies that we've gotten to see quite a bit of this season so far.
He's got a Christian loves to kind of, the new wave. He doesn't quite feel like the new wave. The new wave to me kind of feels like the Dungeon, feels like Oyama, feels like that brand of play style. He kind of falls from the tree of his base knowledge before you even told him he had to compete in movie trivia was just absurd. You can tell his knowledge. I would bet he would have a hard time not getting on Jeopardy, right? Like you could just tell, like the guy's like he's probably just like really, really smart, and you just can't. Sometimes really, really smart, they're just really, really good, and sometimes they don't know the difference between Abigail Breslin and
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Correct, right, but incorrect, right?
Yeah, that's the one that he got wrong, but
right.
It's right. We're smart, okay?
God,
that's the
words
point.
And things and stuff that goes together and ends with punctuation. But I love this match because of like you could just tell that the talent, even beforehand, was going to be just out of this world. It was already set up. So I mean, round one, we only get one wrong answer, and it is the Charlotte's Web question, and then Beast goes on for a 9-point perfect round. And then Barbarian comes in with the 7 points. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, at that point, you're kind of like, well, one wrong answer going up against one of these guys, it's not the end of the world, but it's not exactly where you want to be.
Well, and then as Tachyon, our diehard dear friend, hello Tachyon, points out, first true perfect game in singles history. Because then when we move into round two, Barbarian, he gets 6 out of a possible 8 points in monster movies. Not a bad score at all. It's not Perry Nemiroff good, or it might be. I forget exactly what she got in monster movies when she had it against Kalinowski, because it's been a minute now since that match. But it was not as good as 8 out of a possible 8 points. William the Beast Bibiani spinning spinner's choice. That's something that helps you get a truly perfect game, of course, is that element of luck. William really had it for this one because he managed to get that 8 out of 8. And so then, 9-7 coming out of round one, not too bad of a lead. 17-13, a little bit more pressure, Colin.
A little bit more pressure. And speaking of pressure, we'll talk about performing under the crunch, that crunch of trying to do it. Boggs is here. Don't worry, everyone.
Start again. Rewind.
Oh, God. All right. My last name also starts with John. I think we've got.
Yeah.
Colin's moving. I think we've covered all the major.
What are we talking about? What's going on? What's happening?
We just finished round one, so you're good.
Okay.
We just finished round one of the
round
first
two.
match and round two. Right. So we're kind of Barbarian's down 4 at this point. So you gotta, at this point, when you're down 4, it's just that Schmoedown know-how of he's got to miss his 5 and I got to nail all of mine. So that, that's the ultimate pressure. It's the ultimate pressure of the situation you don't want to be in, which is kind of like, it's the situation you never want your favorite sports team to be in, which is you need somebody else to mess up. You always want to be in control. And that's one of the, big things about this game that's always so interesting is like how hard it is to truly keep control of a match the entire time. And, Bibbs had it from question number 2, right? So it's kind of hard to see, anything else happening. But I mean, Boggs round 3, man. I mean, it's just unbelievable play all week. I think that was one thing consistent aside from, one of the matches. I mean, it was just like consistent play from pretty much every competitor.
Yeah, especially Bibbs, Mr. Perfect, literally. He was so relaxed. Him and Coy just vibing. Barbarian obviously trying his best overall. But Bibbs, he's just too strong at the minute. He's too confident. He's like content with himself, his gameplay. He's done excellent. Obviously, they've both gone kind of perfect in round 3. But Bibbs obviously has got the lead in round 2 for, going perfect in round 2, not going multiple choice. First perfect game I can remember. He's played outstanding, and I just love his attitude and kind of how he went about things, and nice and relaxed, enjoying himself. That seems so long ago, like Bibbs in that match. Even though it was Monday, it's been a long week.
You
so apologies for my lateness as well, guys. Sorry about that.
You tell me, dude. Yeah. Monday feels like last Sunday. Like, I can't believe. And then the worst part about it is that for me, my time during the week, at least y'all will learn this about me. Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays are the most important days of the week because football, and football on all those days. So it's very important. And now I've just been like, my Ravens don't play until Monday. And so everything's just kind of now the week just feels even longer. I had with like 8 days in between stuff, but the Schmoedown was here to keep me satisfied. And Bibbs didn't disappoint because to be pushed the way he was pushed by the Barbarian, those were no slouch. That 5-pointer, having to nail the only Scorsese movie in the 90s that didn't get nominated. I mean, oh my gosh. It was like the first time I was ever like, yep, Christian, you better give him them 20 seconds. You better give him 20 seconds for this one because that is – John, I mean, I'm curious. Is that something that you nailed?
No.
In 20 seconds? No, that's a hard question.
I don't nail most questions, Colin.
I always in my brain I try to think like, oh, what's a good bar trivia version of this? It's the inverse, right? The bar trivia is the inverse of the question. Name all of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture. So then you can't, because that's also what your brain has to do at the same point, right? You're trying to think who did it,
I thought you meant like bar trivia.
Oh, well.
In which case, all of the questions are like, name the 4 actors who played the 4 guinea pigs in G-Force.
Wait, why aren't we hosting a trivia show on either this network or the Twitch or your Twitch channel called Bar Trivia with 2 R's?
Here's what it is. It's the show where I get progressively drunker. And then the important thing is not like hard questions. It's just trying to understand what I'm saying as I get so drunk I stop enunciating.
See, that's why drunk history is like the most misunderstood product of the 2010s. It's beautiful. Like the just like the work that they have to actually do. One, to sit there and get coherently-ish blackout that you have to be able to remember the story that you're trying to tell. And then for somebody to script whatever you said and then get real actors, which, real actors and comedians that have been on that show to come on there and actually, it's so good. It's so good.
I'm so bummed it got canceled. It was a great show, but
speaking of canceled, William Bibbiani canceled the Barbarians run of this tournament.
Oh,
With
okay.
one of the most unbelievable it's just a run of questions that I felt he tried to scoff at. That last question, I felt like was one of the fastest answers to a 5-pointer ever. And he just took him with class and, handled his business like the Beast does. I mean, Beast goes on to the next round. I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm mad he's not going to get to play Chance, but going up against Liz, that's going to be now one of those things where he's on upset alert because lightning keeps striking in the same place over and over again. And there's not a whole lot people are able to do about it right now. So I think Bibbs might be one of those things where I have to pitch another perfect game. Can you imagine going back-to-back perfect games just because you have to? It's kind of crazy because he kind of had to. He had to this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can make it happen. One of the things I've been thinking about is this sort of Bibbiani that we're seeing right now reminds me of when Bibbiani first teamed up with Brendan Meyer, where I think right now he's in that period of like having someone that is so on his same wavelength as far as energy and passion goes is really motivating him. And we heard him talk a little bit about it in the postgame for this match, just thanking Coy and how happy he's been to work with Coy. And I think that'll carry him through quite honestly, it might carry him through all the way until the final match. What we've seen is sometimes Bibbiani can struggle a little bit with then the pressure of the next step in the chain. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, he did not have a great showing at the Spectacular. He was the first out in that 3-way match between Brendan and Dan. So I feel like Bibbiani, especially because I think he knows he can't take Liz Shannon Miller light. As she was saying in her post-match, like, you guys got to stop sleeping on me. I'm certainly not sleeping on her. I don't think William is. And that's why I think Like, Bibiani is the kind of guy that will, in fact, mean it when he says he takes Liz seriously, and he will be able to beat her. But that is going to be a tough one, man. It's like you were saying, we've gotten past the point where the newbies or the people that have not been in the game as much are now out of the tournament. So now we're really just getting a ton of heavy hitters all punching each other with knowing things from movies.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's just one of those matchups that you definitely didn't see coming. If you had this matchup in your bracket, please send me the date. I am at @the_C Morris. I need to see a photo date of you like just calling this like almost a month and a half ago, because this is probably one of the most unlikely matchups. I think if anything, people would have seen like a Barbarian chance in terms of upsets. Bibbs was probably the bigger upset candidate in this bracket, and it's just crazy to see because now we flip to the other side of the bracket box. I know a match you were super duper excited about: Paulo Yamba versus Jeff Snyder. Give me your take, man. Going right into this match, how are you feeling? For I know your pick was Snyder.
Yeah, of course. Cheer up, John. What's the matter? Don't be mad.
Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me, man.
Yeah, no. In fact, though, you made a good point about Bibbs there. Just thinking about it, like I think that Bibbs really shines when, I know it's kind of easy to say, but when he's the favorite against, like Liz, against obviously James White, but in the past, like maybe against Andreyko when in that title match. But when he's the underdog, we can see kind of things get on top of him, like or in a 50-50 match like the Ben. Obviously that Ben match is spectacular, like the three-way match, like him against Roca. The kind of personality, sometimes the pressure and the situation can get on top of him. But obviously, let's see if he can overcome that, because he's so comfortable within himself now, and he's got Koi, and he's got the team aspect, so and the faction aspect. So he talks about that, how that kind of improves his gameplay. So let's see in the next round. I don't think Liz is going to put that pressure on him like that. So I think he's obviously the favorite going into that, so that's not going to change too much there, but maybe in the next round we'll see there. But anyway, yeah, going into that big match, yeah, like super looking forward to it. Obviously, the rematch, that's what I was. That was one of the main matches I was looking forward to all tournament, in terms of singles tournament, in terms of this specific tournament. So yeah, it was just, I couldn't wait, man. Super excited. Obviously Roxy on board with Schneider, and obviously Winston's got Yama's back, and yeah, I just super hyped. I want to see where it'd go, but yeah, like I'll be saying all week, all tournament, I'm definitely backing Schneider all the way, because he's pure entertainment.
I mean, I don't know what everybody else thought of Winston's improv, but I was with it for a little while, and then yeah, I was kind of like, all right, yeah, let's wrap it up. I kind of felt kind of the same way that Roxy and Snyder kind of did afterwards. I was kind of like, all right, let's move it on. But I love that Winston is constantly, every single match, bringing a completely different energy. I mean, we see him. We see it in one of the later matches. He doesn't even. He's like, "Hold on, guys, I'll be right back. I gotta go do some stuff." Like he's.
Thinking about Winston was in 3 matches this week, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. This is not
this one, and wow, yeah, just realized.
And make sure to check out the Inner Geekdom show on the Schmoedown Entertainment Network on the right. But he's working his ass off right now. I'll be real honest. Dude's all over the place. So is his team. I mean, Swag keeps showing up. Like, I mean, they're there. You got to be, the best ability is availability, and they are constantly showing up. At least since June, I feel like Swag has been in a talk of the show every week in some form of way. And this match, I mean, come on. It does nothing but put a chip on their shoulder, which is not something you want to do to a great team. Like, they're, constantly just always trying to get better. So going into round 1, Paul comes out with a 9-7 lead. It's just one of those things where you're looking at this game, you're like, that's exactly where you want to be. If you're Paul, that's right where you want to come out of the first round. John, is this what you expected out of both of them? Did you expect perfection from both, or a little slip up?
I mean, I'm always hesitant to call perfect rounds, just because, you can never predict exactly how tough the round 1 is going to be. I feel like that's kind of the round that sometimes has the most fluctuation, because I think we all kind of assume that, like, oh yeah, it's round one questions, they're all going to be pretty easy. But then there's always at least one that tends to trip up at least somebody, so that kind of puts you on the fence a little bit. So I wasn't sure, I like the idea of Paul going perfect. And as it so happens, that's what happened. Paul got the perfect round and the bonus question. Snyder missed the Strangers Pray at Night, which I also would have missed. A lot of questions I get asked that just go right over my head as I still catch up on my movie trivia knowledge. But what I really did not expect, Colin, is what we got from round two. Neither spinning spinner's choice, both spinning those categories that they felt pretty comfortable with, and both of them getting perfect round twos. Like, as much as I don't like Snyder, getting a perfect round two, we were just talking about it with Bibiani, that's no small thing. And especially considering that Bibiani spun spinner's choice to be able to get a category that he really wanted. Snyder and Oyama taking a little bit more of a roll of the dice, I would argue. Especially both of them sticking with their first spin when they could have spun again to try and get something they're more comfortable with. I just found that I found that to be quite admirable and enjoyable.
It's definitely one of those things where knowledge was on display, and there's sometimes where a category comes across a wheel and you just look at a player and you're like, oh yeah, they're taking that. I smelled it. The second Audrey Hepburn went on, I was like, oh, that's something Paul knows front and back. I don't know why, but I feel like Paul will just destroy that category, and destroyed he did. And it's just one of those things where I'm constantly impressed in new ways by these players. This digital game has taken this game to another level. There's just no longer the league of guesses, and if it is, it's one a round, it's one a match, maybe one a match. If not, wild guess that actually comes true. It's way more rare. It's not, unfortunate. Like, yes, the Josh McCougas of the world are fun, but this is what we're seeing right now. It's just like I'm turning on Jeopardy and I'm seeing like the best minds the internet of movies has, of the movie sphere has to offer. And round two was that. Round two was Jeff Snyder, two completely different generations of this game. One's been there since the beginning, and one's a champion that came in on his own. And for round three to go the way that it does, it's one of the most, it's drama to the end, Boggs. Take us away.
Yeah, so, it's just surprising overall round two. I mean, sticking on Julia Roberts and Audrey Hepburn and going perfect.
Or Nicole Kidman and Audrey Hepburn.
Sorry. Nicole Kidman. Yeah, right. Super surprised, but yeah, I mean, this shows what the caliber that we're at now. I mean, it was so. I did hear a few comments as well about Oyama's, change of character this year, where he's basically himself now, and he's much more kind of content with it, and yeah, he's happy within himself, because obviously he struggled with the whole character aspect. He's commented on himself, take a toll on him last year. But for me personally, I absolutely loved him last year. Him getting booed at live events, him kind of this newer player with sunglasses on, didn't really show much kind of personality, just coming in straight, asking questions, winning matches and storming out. I loved it, and winning the league and beating Dan Morrow. Like, I absolutely loved it. I mean, he gets a lot of stick for that, but just personally on a side note, I just want to say,
you can't get a stick for being good, Boggs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He was so confident and cocky. Like, who does that? Like, no one is of that personality now, and if they do, they get kind of criticized. But I personally like that energy, because it's like quietly confident play. So I loved it. But yeah, obviously Schneider just they're both going perfect, and it was just super tense, man. I just super good round two. I was glad Schneider kept pace. I was a bit worried for him because he was down, obviously, with Paul going perfect, and obviously he's hit the odd couple question, bonus question, which I was like, whoa, okay, that was a bit surreal. But yeah, it was. I just thought the whole round three was tense. Going back and forth, and I even just love Schneider taking shots at the question writers, saying, you guys are giving too many clues in his own answering, like of his own round two. I mean, I just love the shots there, and the personality. You don't get that from all players, it's I do love that aspect of Schneider.
I'm with him. There needs to be like a delineation between like what's a 1-point question and what's a 2-point question. Like they're neat. Like John, I know.
We'll
but
never get it.
No, we should, because then there's like we see at some points later in the week, like the 5-pointers compared to one another are just on like who are we asking these two? Like Stuart Little, like who knows nothing about movies? Like, because there's like some level of like, I don't know. I've seen 5-pointers in a match where
we don't know what Stuart Little's been up to in the past 14 years.
Listen, Stuart Little was around a lot longer before that movie came out. There were great books that came out before, sir. Read the books.
1,000 apologies, sir.
Read the books to the book readers. Oh,
I mean, I corrected Boggs earlier, so I can't really talk. I'm sorry, Boggs. Is this what I'm like? Or no, is this what I'm like?
No, I can tell you're just a bit sensitive with the whole Schneider winning. It's all right. We'll get over it.
All right, well, relax. You can relax now.
I mean, yeah, because then we just kind of get the inverse of what didn't happen in the first match, right? So the person with the lead doesn't get the 5-pointer, and it's just sometimes you just miss the 5-pointer. And it's kind of...
Well, look, I mean, if there's one thing I'm never going to be unhappy about, it's Snyder getting too dumbfounded to get up to his film bro antics. But while you are talking about how, he was having a laugh at some of the easier questions that he got, even he was like, yo, that 5-pointer was brutal. And he was right. That was a true, hardest question of the match. Like, it made sense that was a final one. That was definitely a 5-pointer, not a 3-pointer.
Yeah, bad match to compare 5-pointers on because they were both ridiculous. They were both ridiculous deep cuts. I guess more goes back to the way Bibbs kind of silently scoffed with his speed of answering at a 5-pointer, because there are some players that even if they know it off the bat, they will hold out those however many JTE rules they have left just to hold out. But Bibbs was like, nope. Do it off the run. Yeah. I got a feeling.
I appreciate that too. I don't need a Ben Bateman.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I mean, it was a well played match, man. I don't like Snyder personally, but this was a well played game. I'm not going to argue that even for a second. And while my guy didn't win, and my bracket is fully ripped in half on the floor, it was a good match. I don't have a lot to be mad about. You know what I mean?
It's not much to be mad about, but I know one person who has just tons to be like. Winston really did not have the best week. Winston, so going into the next match, oh boy, poor friend of the show, Lon Harris, has to literally run into, I don't think he's a coyote. He might be like a full pack of coyotes. Like, it's like a coyote who can use like a Naruto ninjutsu and create multiple copies of himself that surround his foes, and they're all answering questions because they're just this guy's just get. Adam is. I need to look at the most points scored by a player through their first 3 games, and Adam's probably up there in the top percentile of players.
At the very least, we now know that Adam does have a weakness, which is coming up with team names. Because I'm sorry, Deception. Like, you guys were just reaching for like a 3-syllable. Oh, what word sort of sounds like corruption? Like, I'm sure Adam and Marisol are going to do good things, but Deception, come on. Coyote Justice. It should have been Coyote Justice. That's the hell I'll die on. But yeah, Lon had a pretty bad time, Colin.
So I was trying to smack a fly. It's been in my house for the last 3 hours. I just really felt like Lon could not get comfortable in this game. And Adam is kind of becoming the master of not letting you feel comfortable, because it seems like when you don't know something, he knows it and he's going to let you know. And it's kind of this like kidney punch with the correction. Like, I kind of feel that. Like, that's a vibe. Like, I feel like that's kind of like his shtick. And I'm that's a good one. That's one of the better ones of him just coming in and letting that be a part of his gameplay. And I don't know if I've been impressed with somebody that I, didn't give enough credit to, in a long time in this game, because this guy's coming in and just swinging a big stick. Boggs, I mean, are you with me? Is this guy? I feel like this guy's he's good. He's got what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, now he's 3-0 with 3 knockouts and against 2 very, very good players. But I just want to give a shout out to Lon, because that was filmed on the day that he was on our show. So he's come on our show straight after filming that match.
Lon, you're the man.
I had no idea. Like, I mean, great attitude, like super positive. He was energetic. Like, he had no kind of inkling that he lost that match. So, yeah, just credit to him, man. Like, great showman and personality and character and stuff. But to be fair, I mean, he's had a good round one. They've both gone 7 for 7, just missed the one each. So super close, tight. And how Adam Collins has missed that Raiders of Lost Ark question. I thought, what the hell? Like, what? How can you be? How could this guy beat Roker? That's what I thought when he missed it. And then, obviously then round 2 happened, but I just thought, what is going off here? That's like the easiest question I've heard all day, like, all week, sorry. And he's missed it. I was shocked. Like, he didn't really comment on it afterwards, but I just thought, oh God, I want to know how, like, what were you thinking there? It seemed like obvious, because he even said the famous movie, like it like teed it up and he just missed it. I don't know. But yeah, it was obviously 7-all. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it must have just been one of those things where he had the future sight, where he was like, I can afford to take it easy this round 1 because I know round 2. Yeah, I mean, I definitely we want to make sure we want to give credit to Lon Harris. He's a great guy. I especially love to make sure I give credit to as many players as possible,
makes me think
with
he's tired
some
out,
notable
man.
exceptions.
Makes
but yeah, like
tired.
round 1, it seemed like it was gonna be like a tight race. It was literally as close as it could be coming out of round 1. Then you get to round 2, and what third match of the 4 that we're going to be talking about with a perfect round played? Like, that's that. I know Lon spun horror later, but like, that's kind of scary just in and of itself. That's a horror movie right there, is when you're completely tied up and you're like, oh, great, this is going to be, a tight match. Like, it's very much anyone's game. And then you get 8 out of 8, or your opponent does. And then, it doesn't matter who you are. You see that, and there's something in you that just goes like, oh, so now I got to do that. Cool. Uh-oh. So I think that was a tough way to start off the round. And you could tell that it did, like, kind of put Lon a little bit too much in his head. Because I think that's what it is more than anything. It's not about, like, oh, is Lon just, like, not knowledgeable enough? He's definitely knowledgeable enough. But he got in his head a little bit, and that especially became true after that Suspiria miss, because that was just one of those things where it's like he swung and he was very like confident in it. He was looking pretty comfortable, and then missing that, it just seems like it made him doubt himself too much.
Not just that, that was a chance to like get comfortable, right? Get yourself back into this game, and for that to be a 2-point flip. Because obviously, players are kind of getting more comfortable with realizing my 2 choices are probably there, and I'm just going to swing for the fences. And unfortunately, it's getting to the point in this tournament where the person you're facing off against also had those 2 choices, or probably had the correct one first as well. And that just seemed to be the case in this category. I do have a question for people out there. Is the Resident Evil franchise truly like horror movies, or are they video game movies?
I mean, I guess if it's a horror video game, it's sort of like, I guess, how like Scott Pilgrim would wonder, like,
of Resident Evil questions in this game. Like, there are 2. I'm not. There might be too many Resident Evil questions. Like, John Schnepp is the only human being, rest his soul, like, that loved the Resident Evil franchise, did outspokenly, and still the Schmoedown brings up Resident Evil more times than John Schnepp ever did on any program. And they seem to be movies that competitors just don't watch. Is it the new Mask? Maybe.
No, because Mask is good. I mean, I don't know if Resident Evil is good. I've never seen
things
one.
You gotta watch. So it was the Green Hornet for the Inner Geekdom tournament, and then it turned into the Mask for the first round of the singles tournament with some teams tournament with some teams actions also running into it. So
I mean, it's always going to be sports movies, right? Let's be real. It's always going to be sports movies.
Leah Logan in the chat says it is horror related, actually. So
yeah,
I mean, it's horror related for sure. It's horror related, but does it need a space in almost every single second round horror thriller question? Probably not. We could probably, maybe go 3 or 4 matches of horror thriller without hearing a Resident Evil question.
I've got a comment though on the round 2 as well. So just to put, yes, obviously Adam does know. Obviously he's gone perfectly himself, and he's stolen questions in Lon's go. But if I can just put that into perspective a little bit, I think Lon's teed him up for some of these steals. So, for example, the first question is it that what did you say it was called?
The first question,
yeah.
He said what 80s, decade? And then Adam says
and
70s.
Then Lon's Adam's just gone for the next decade. So it's clearly the answer is either 70s or 80s. He's gone for 70s. Which Resident Evil one? He's guessed the 4th Resident Evil movie. So obviously Adam's gone for the 5th one, and he's got obviously the Devil's Advocate question. Then the Amityville Horror, he's got multiple choice and he's got one wrong. So it's just like he has teed him up a little bit each one. It's not like he's having random guesses where they're completely out of the ballpark. He's having close answers. So he's kind of narrowed it down for him. Obviously with respect, because he's still getting the answers right. At the end of the day, they're still steals. But I just did notice that. Just put it in perspective a little bit, because he's not like he's absolutely. It's not like Lon's had no idea. He's been really close, and he's just kind of picked up that steal. Obviously, it's credit for Collins, but I just did notice that it wasn't. He didn't kind of. It wasn't like an embarrassing performance for me, because it was. He's kind of set up Colin for the steal. So
he went all the way into the red zone, and he fumbled the ball right at the goal line and gave it to the other team. Like he got very close every time, right? Like it was not. It was not a disappointing performance. Because you could tell he was there. It wasn't like this is not like a checkout match by any means necessary. This is you were this close on too many things.
It's not like a Jeff Snyder throwing away around.
100%.
This is more like Video Drew. This is like what we talked about with Video Drew, where it's like she was basically right on for some of those questions, and it just slightly evaded her. I would probably give Adam a little bit more credit on the Resident Evil question specifically. I think you're right on the money about number. The 100%. That was more random ass
phrase.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like both these guys know their stuff, but Collins knew it in the more correct for points kind of way. You know what I mean? Right. But yeah, again, we love Lon on this show. Obviously, if we didn't love Lon, why would we have that dumb brother character on? Why would we do that
nowadays? Yeah. Does anyone know where he is?
I think last time he was on, he said he was just beating up a mummy. So I'm sure he's probably just in some tombs somewhere, fighting.
And to be fair, Suspiria was set in 1977. Okay, so it wasn't like it was 1971 or 1970, and it took place in the 70s. It's in the back half of the 70s, close to the 80s. So he did it, right. Just even proving the fact that it's hard. That's a weird pull, because that movie is so overstyled. I mean, it's the purpose of it is it's so stylized to be this picturesque, perfection of suburbia that it could easily be 1980 or 1981 in the same, just as it's
Well, and also that movie came out in 2018, but in dumpster fire years, it might as well have come out 30 years. It might as well have come out in the 70s at this point. We've all been through too much since it's happened and before.
The Bibbs match took place 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's there's a reason why Corruption and Swag are the two factions that are fighting for those top 2 spots alongside the Finstock Exchange. Because both factions have great managers and great players. We saw some great character work from everybody involved. Shannon and Adam playing the heels. Winston and Lon having a little bit more kind of fun goofiness, but also they all know what they're doing. It's sort of like what Video Drew was talking about. These people that our characters do also care about this game, and Winston and Shannon, for as much as they love also just making jokes at each other, they really care about their players. And so that's, again, one of those things you were saying, Boggs, yes, the record is going to show it was a knockout, but it's not as if this was not a fun and intense match to watch by any stretch of the means.
Boggs, I mean, dude, you got to be kind of feeling a little bit for Winston, right? Kind of a little bit of a rough week. Do you see, an opportunity? Do they need to be looking forward to Spectacular more than the team's tournament right now? Or do you think team's tournament needs to be full focus in terms of because we need to be dominant?
Yeah, definitely teams tournament. I mean, they've got the luxury of both, really. So they've already got 2 matches nailed in Spectacular. Obviously, right. Liz is still in the tournament. They're still in the teams tournament. So for me, it's all positives. It's not like you're completely out of it. It's not like you're second, first, or third now, and then you've got no matches left for the rest of the year. You've got loads of matches left, so it's all within your hands. That's the main thing. So yeah, there's plenty to look forward to. Yeah, obviously you took a couple of losses, but you're basically in the quarterfinal stage or the latter stages of the tournament. So they've all picked up points. That's the main thing. So you're all getting wins. How many? Yeah, okay, you haven't gone all the way, but it's still you're still there competing, and you're still going to have these title shots going into Spectacular, and you're still in other tournaments. So yeah, it's not at all. Yeah, it's on. You have losses, but you still have matches coming, so it's still in your hands. So
yeah, I think this match is more just brutal because technically, with Corruption beating Swag, they also then move up above Swag in the rankings. Like it was because it's 4 points, they were able to move up to number 2. Mm-hmm. But Corruption's still at number 2, and Swag is still right behind them. Like it is still as opposed to the early half of the season where it seemed seemed like such a done deal for Finstock Exchange that people were actually clamoring in the groups and in the comments, this is unfair.
Yeah.
Some of you guys look like fools, and that is because of the great work of Winston Marshall and Shannon Barney. Let's really highlight.
We have one of each left. One for Corruption.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
One for Swag. So now we got Liz going up against Bibbs.
And Adam going up against Brendan Meyer.
Yeah, I mean that's a pick'em. In the words of betting, that's a pick'em. No one's got favorites either way, just in terms of how well both of those 2 players have been playing. If you take their first 2 rounds, as they're 2 of the 4 strongest players in this tournament right now. And we're going to get that in, the semifinals, which I think is going to be in, semifinals, whatever. The quarterfinals. Yeah. Quarter. It's all throw it out the window.
Look, we've all had a week. You guys understand?
Yeah. Listen.
And just wait until next week where I'm going to be filming immediately after a work shift. Oh, boy. We're going to have some fun.
Well, I will say the next match in terms of excitement I had in terms of expectations had built up for definitely the Z-Man. Eric going up against Ethan Irwin is just one of those matches that you don't feel like you should be hyped for, but I ended up being correctly hyped for. I was like, oh, this match did not disappoint. I hyped myself up and I did not get Rise of Skywalker. So it was awesome. And Boggs, I mean, kind of hard, I honestly don't know which way you'd be leaning in this episode. I would lean, in this match, the talent I would probably say would be where you were more attracted to on the Irwin side of things. But were you smelling upset at all?
No, to be honest. But I just want to see a good match in this. I was definitely obviously going for Ethan. Going in. I mean, I'm pretty much always going to go for Ethan in a match, to be honest. But I wanted to see how far Zipper could push him. And I wasn't expecting him to do so well, to be honest. So that was probably, my mistake. But yeah, I noticed in the promo he was really confident. Obviously, he's done the whole kind of he's been playful in his promo stuff. But I did sense a bit of confidence there, and I did sense a fear or intimidation, or an overly respectful kind of intro. I don't really like that when players do that, because you can do that after the match. You don't have to do that before in the promos, oh yeah, it's a pleasure to play. No, do it afterwards, which he didn't do. But I'm just saying, I've noticed other players do it. But yeah, I like the way he was serious. Okay, let's see what you got. Obviously confident with himself. Kaiser seemed quite confident as well. So no, I was super impressed with him. Obviously going into round 1.
This match had some of the most I felt like everything going up to the 5 pointers was spoilers was some of the most evenly spat Schmoedown in terms of like what was thrown and what was thrown back. I felt like Eric he was pitching up against, a heavy hit, he was going up against a heavy hitter, and he was dealing. It felt like Eric was really throwing back all the talent, and Ethan had a bit of smirky quirkiness to him about him at the start of the match. It's like, oh, good pull. Stuff in round 2, you start getting into that stuff. I didn't expect that from Ethan, guys. Like that, I never really ever smelled that as part of his persona, but I think Sam might be kind of getting to him a little bit, where Sam's kind of,
though, to be fair, wasn't it? Like he was doing that, but that was in round 2.
It was round 2, right? Yeah, right. So round 2, but still, I didn't really see that as part of like Ethan's. It was a little condescending. John, you seem to have a thought.
I would disagree, man.
So it is part of his game. You think that's
no?
Part
I
of
think you are misreading it.
Polite.
I think that was Ethan legitimate. Especially if you are you kidding, dude? Especially if you watch Ethan's
Who's
promo.
polite in this game?
What are you talking, dude? No, especially if you watch Ethan's promo, it's clear that like Ethan legitimately watched Zipper's like playing matches. And I'll say this, and this kind of connects to my own thoughts on Zipper, especially with like some of the story stuff that Zipper was involved in last year with the dungeon being recruited, and then seeing the way that he's just been getting better and better. Even though he's not like one of the best players or like Mount Rushmore contenders, he has become one of my personal favorite active players right now.
Yeah,
I think Eric's great.
I agree.
And
completely.
especially because I think one of the other reasons why I'm kind of giving Ethan more credit as just being like a nice guy, wishing him well, is because like even when Ethan is paired up against big personalities like a Sam Levine or a Jay Washington previously, Ethan's always been pretty authentically just his self of just like, I play this game to have fun. And I feel like in this regard, it was
that. Like it just kind of like caught me off guard, and I guess I could only take it smirky, like because I guess like, oh, nice pull, and it kind of felt like the favorite was kind of pander. It felt like a little bit of pander, I guess, in the moment. So I guess it,
yeah,
I could definitely take a step back and see how he could definitely just be genuinely like, oh, nice pull. Like that's.
Well, I think part of it as well is that Ethan knew he wasn't playing a great game. Ethan struggled a little bit in this game, and I think that's part of why he was giving Zipper as much credit, because Ethan was probably being like hard on himself. This was the first, I believe this was the first match of the 4 that we got where nobody got Adam and Lon both went 7-7. Correct. But this first round was 6-4, which was the lowest scoring of the first round. So Ethan kind of knew that he was not fully on the ball. And I think that's part of why he was like, oh man, like, as if it wasn't hard enough, Zipper, you're actually like pulling some stuff like I'm really having to work for it right now. And that's part of why I love Ethan.
And I guess
like, both of these guys are 2 of just my favorite players right now. And that's part of why I was excited for this match. And I really got more than I bargained for.
Right. Because then you get into we'll get into the back half of round 2. And that is really where you see, and I can definitely see, John, where you're like, Ethan is, and now I see it is that Mission Impossible question where it is like, wait, what was the plot of that movie? Like that is kind of wild to go through all those movies and have to like dissect the plots. It's kind of a 20-second question when you think that's a lot of stuff to go through to kind of break it down. But he pulls it out, and yeah, I can definitely see how that's Ethan definitely being in the moment, like, wow, good pull, because then that sets up, if I'm a player, and I'm kind of weird tangent, as going up against your rival, you want your rival to be like as good as possible when you play them, right? Like you don't want your rival to be like 0-8 when you play them, and then you beat them, and then you're like, oh, now they're 0-9. It's like, no, you probably want them to be like 8-0, right? You want
that's classic anime where it's like Bakugo and Deku are fighting, and right before Baku strikes the killing blow, he's just like, you're not strong enough to be my rival yet. Get up now, Deku, so that you may become stronger. So then I might fight you. Like, it's classic anime.
Dude,
stuff,
it's so anime. Yeah, 100%. And I'm like in the back half of the last 20 episodes of Hunter x Hunter. So there's just like some wildness going on right now.
Should I start Hunter x Hunter?
Dude, if you do, I'll redo it with you, because it's one of the most amazing shows of being kind of like The Good Place, where it constantly reinvents itself every arc into a completely different show with the same characters, all progressing morally and learning things and becoming better versions than they were at the beginning, but yet still the same base person. But
Nice.
Side note, the anime Ultimate Schmoedown show is still something that I've always hoped that one day we could get to, is that there's an anime version of this where Winston is the host and it's Winston and Emma, and it's like the best show on the internet. I feel like that would easily pull like 90,000 views all across the Pacific coastlines on both sides.
Yeah,
I'd
you
watch the
anime.
pilot.
Yeah. That's go picture, kid. That's easy. Go picture. Yeah, but
Yeah, and then round 3.
and then round 3, right? And then round 3,
Well,
because round 3
yeah,
was
I mean,
still...
let's make sure that we go over the fact as well that, like, out of round 2, Ethan spun opponent's choice, so that was a little bit difficult, but got 6 out of 8, definitely proving why he's one of the best. But then Eric spinning away from action and adventure, getting in every way, getting 7 out of the possible 8 points, nearly perfect round 2. Incredible. Also getting that 1 point steal in the Inner Geekdom, so technically he got 8 points coming out of round 2. But what's more crucial is that it's
That's an
12
and
to
1.
12.
That's an and 1 in the Schmoedown. That's a
Yeah, so
sports term for you, John.
Yeah, so he's caught up. Yeah, he's done super well, and like that's, you know, I did notice something as well that I think maybe John's mentioned it before, where Sam it's like Sam comes alive when he plays with Ethan. Like with everyone else, he just seems to be, oh, what should we do? But he seems so involved, and he's like, yeah, no, okay, no, let's stick. Like he just seems more invested in Ethan. Like, and it's so obvious to me. Like when he does it, like this guy's is his golden, you know, his golden player, his golden boy, and he's just so on it with him. And he's like, yeah, I'd like, you know, thank Rachel. He never does that with anyone else. Like he just seems to be like, he has the same promo, he has the same kind of in between round talk with everyone else except for Ethan. Is like he's so much more invested in it. I just thought that stood out for me. In between,
it's that industry. It's that industry talk.
Yeah,
you know?
it could be, yeah.
It's that the two of them are in that like caliber.
Are you right? There's no way that in the next 10 years there's not 3 Ethan Irwin produced flicks that are not involving Sam Levine at some point. This is just one of those things where they're vibing, man.
Yeah.
These two, they crack brews at like 5 o'clock, and they're like eagerly awaiting what the other one has because they just want to learn what this other savant. You want to talk about some folks. This reminds me of Bibiani and oh my gosh,
Coy?
No,
Whitney
Seibold,
okay.
and the Beauty. That's what I was going for. The Beauty and the Beast. That's what I was going for. The Beauty and the Beast, and I couldn't pull it. So it reminds me of them, kind of like how their banter kind of used to be, where they're also on their own plane of existence because they have that podcast talk. So hey, Ethan Irwin, Sam Levine, please do a movie review podcast, like something in terms of like y'all's favorite movies, because it's just I'm in. Their level. It's almost to the point where I'm fearful that Sam may relinquish managerial duties to Rachel just to come play with Ethan, because their bromance is steaming right now. It's steaming. And Sam, I don't know if anybody's noticed this. If we went back and watched all of Sam Levine's promos this digital season, I've never heard somebody more jealous that he's not playing right now. Like, he's actively upset. I can tell every time he comes on, he's like, I wish I was playing.
Listen, I've talked about how I don't think Sam is a great manager. So if you were to tell me that Rachel is now a manager and that Sam is stepping in with intentions of partnering with Ethan, I'm not going to be mad at that. But then we have a similar round 3 in this Ethan Irwin and Eric Zipper match that we had to the Jeff Snyder and Paul Oyama, where it wound up going the same sort of way, where it's that experienced player manages to just get ahead of that, newer kind of sensation, but it is not an easy fight. It's really punch after punch after punch, with Eric missing that big short 5-pointer, which is just one of those things where it's just like, it's that like sort of easier detail, but it's just something that can easily get lost in the shuffle because it's sort of an easier detail. So it's, not necessarily like as difficult as the naming the 2 gangs from Gangs of New York, but it is still just like one of those things where it's just too easy for that to get lost in the shuffle, especially because, The Big Short is one of those movies where it is just kind of like, here's 20 guys and 2 of them have wives. What? Like, it is kind of...
realize they're not talking about Brad Pitt. That's not Brad Pitt's character that they're talking about in the movie. That's Steve Carell's character in the movie that they're talking about. That is what makes that question a 5-pointer. And that's kind of where I hit Eric's face at the end of that, where he's like, oh, you got to tell me who directed a flick based off of some Snyder extra information that you also gave. And then I had to pull she might be literally in 38 seconds of that movie. I love that movie with every fiber of its being. And I could not pull Marissa Tomei because I could not for the life of me remember like who they were talking about.
Yeah, this week I've definitely seen an up and down flow of the 5-point questions. I mean, I don't remember her in that movie, but I do agree with what you're saying, Colin. Like, as opposed to like Bibbs' 5 question or who's directed this movie. Like,
bingo.
That's such a complete
Bateman
different
has
level.
gotten so mad about
like
that shit over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I do get what you mean.
It's the same thing. Is it plot based? Or are you asking me something about the production of the movie? There has to be a delineation where like you can't have players get like Zipper feels like I'm not gonna say like disenfranchised, but like he feels kind of taken out of the game a little bit when he has to think so hard about what's going on.
So was Irwin's question who's directed 30 Days of Night, right? Was
right. That's it. Yeah. Right.
It's a different level for me. It's a different level.
When you're asking Ethan Irwin that question, you're asking Ethan Irwin that question. That's a ballpark. That's T-ball for him just because of his base knowledge. Also, the people who write the questions I don't think they know who's answering what questions.
Yeah,
that's obviously unfair.
But asking someone who's a director of a movie is obviously just on the general basis is a surface level type question
compared to
who's someone's 15th.
Yeah. Well, the writers probably know something because we didn't talk about the Jeff Snyder Paul Oyama odd couple question, which that's one of those things that just seems like a little too serendipitous. You know what I mean? It's sort of like when you see a Remember the Titans question pop up against some of the legends.
Schmoedown.
Oh no! Don't bring that energy in here. Dogs is going to leave, and we're going to lose the match from.
You can understand where the energy comes from. Then, if you can see that that's where it stems from, that's the kind of stuff sometimes where you're like, the only reason that I have I'm not fully in the Schmoeminati is because of the way I saw Christian Harloff handle Dan Murrell retiring the first time, where he was like, had to act and react at the same time. There's times in this game where it's not a show. We're just reacting to what's happening. This is a live sporting event. Yeah, that odd couple thing. So some of this other stuff where it's just kind of like, let's scale that back a little bit. That's kind of like Christian should be able to check out of that. I think Christian should be able to check out of that bonus question. There should be a second one that's kind of like, does this pertain less to the match? Maybe.
It's all hard to say. Leo Logan in the chat saying David Slade isn't exactly a household name. I would disagree. We all love David Slade in The Wrong Missy.
Wow.
But one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about.
Pull that one.
Oh man, what a bad-looking movie. But one of the things, because I'm gonna have to head out soonish, so one of the things I wanted to make sure that we talk a little bit about before I have to run away into the night is some of the matches that we've got coming up next in this tournament. Because we got Ethan Irwin going up against Tom, we got Jeff Snyder going up against Mark Riley, we got Adam Collins going up against Brendan Meyer, and then as we've discussed previously, Bibiani versus Liz Shannon Miller. I think we've all spoken now about what we think about Bibiani versus Liz. But what about these other matches? I mean, Colin, you look like you're already ready to say.
I just think the left side is going to be slept on. I think it's clearly this is lined up for like the right side to be like, yo, pay attention to these matches. And then to quote the Luke Skywalker line, this is not going to go the way you think. And then on the left side, we're going to, kind of talk down to, we have a full Shazam lineup on the left side, which we cannot, and to bring back Tachyon from earlier, I did not forget about you, baby. Quirky Mercs are the only faction with more than one player left in the tournament, and they're on the same side, and we could see them in the Fantastic Four. So that would be spectacular, I think, to see a kind of a first repeat, would you say? We kind of had faction war with Founding Fathers and who's the boss, but interfaction singular warfare where we had it with the Intergeekdom final And then to this, what, you know, oh my, could you imagine Bibiani and Brendan? Because it's kind of like, ooh, who's rubbed off more onto who, right? It's just kind of like one of those things you start playing in your mind. But then an Adam Collins versus Liz Shannon Miller, it's just like, that's the feature of the game in terms of like people who haven't been there yet that have places to go. Those two have places to go. And then I look on the right side and I only see one person who hasn't been there. And I see Tom. Y'all gotta watch out for Tom. That's what that's gonna be my motive all week. All right. Do not sleep on Tom. Tom is scary. Tom has kind of figured out this whole I'm comfortable now and I'm sorry you're not. And I'm sorry that my uncomfortable, like me making you uncomfortable makes you uncomfortable, but that makes me comfortable. And that should be terrifying because that's something that lasts a whole match. Because there's something to be said about the difference and Boggs, I'll throw this to you, the difference in a player like Bateman, who really, if you want to talk, you know, numbers, throws the pressure on after the 3-pointer. That's when the boss shows up. Trivia is played up until the round 3, but you rarely see Ben do the and answer. Takes a pause and answer. He's usually spinning out. Tom is throwing things out at a flow that you can't figure out. So what's a harder thing to prepare for then? Would you rather prepare for a player that you like can't, or I mean, obviously that's kind of harder, but like, I mean, is Tom a player you'd rather prepare for, or is like a Ben Bateman where you know what you're getting?
I mean, if it was me, Tom, I mean, I'd rather play Tom just because obviously, you know, just former champ in Ben, been there, done it, higher caliber player, more experience, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, Tom, he's good, but we don't know how good. You know, he hasn't gone into he hasn't had kind of number one contender matches, title matches. He hasn't had the history. You know, he hasn't beaten a former champion yet, that kind of thing. So he's not at that level yet. But yeah, my favorite match out of that round is definitely Schneider and Riley. You know, both having good runs, both being written off, both with a history in the game. Both obviously multi-former champions.
One has produced the other many times on a movie talk show.
They also played each other last season, right? Am I crazy about that? Because they played each other while Snyder was on his way to the title match, right? Yeah.
I don't remember.
Like, so I mean, the history, right? Like that's another
this
thing.
Season
like,
as well.
That's why I'm saying.
Right?
That's why I'm saying the right side is going to be the hype side, and the left side is going to be the slept-on side. Because the storyline you're looking for on the left side is something that you need other things to happen, right? The story of the left side is what if Shazam plays each other, but what if they don't, right? So that's kind of the only way you go. On the right side, it's storylines for days. You have Ethan Irwin on the comeback track after losing to Dan Murrell, and then you have Jeff Snyder playing his best Schmoedown since he was with the Patriots with JTE. Like, aside from the one question pulls that JTE used to have way back in the day where he would save their asses, Jeff ran that team like it was it was it. Like that, it was unreal, and he's come back to that level. John, I'll pose this to you because you brought it up. Who's the player here that you're leaning towards, right? If you had a favorite out of these 8 players, where are you going out of these 8?
Oh, man. Of the 8 as a whole, I mean, it's not just about which player I think is generally the strongest. It's also about which player, based on who they're going to be going up against, has the best chance. And right now, my gut is leaning me towards Bibiani. Right now, that's where I'm kind of at. I think, like I said earlier, Bibiani is going to take Liz seriously. And that is going to be because like she was saying, I don't think she should be undervalued. I hope it's clear that I do value her. I just think Bibiani is just too tall a task for most players. And I think that's going to prove to be the case again, although admittedly I had Chance winning this bracket and she beat Chance. So really, what do I know? But then I'll say, like, I think Adam Collins is going to beat Brendan Meyer. I don't think we're going to see a Quirky Mercs Shazam going up against each other. I think Collins is going to win
Leo
that
in
match.
The chat. What would happen if one or both of Shazam members were eliminated?
I think Brendan is going to get eliminated at the very least. And Bibiani versus Collins, like, that's intense. I do think right now Bibiani's got the energy and doesn't have that much pressure. Maybe if Brendan Meyer loses, that'll make him feel a little bit more on edge because then he will be the only member of his faction left. But right now, Bibiani is just so in his bag.
He hasn't
with
lost.
Coy and Brendan, that energy. Yeah, with the Coy and Brendan energy, with being able to play at home, hang out with his actual cats and then his stuffed tigers. I got the most faith out of these 8 players in Bibiani, but it's not gonna be easy.
Right, because you're looking at, when you look at a player like Bibiani, Bibiani is in the second wave of stars that ascended into the upper echelon of players faster than any other player of his generation, aside from, Paul's a season later. Paul Oyama, same way, ascends so quickly in terms of just the respect he garners from other competitors, right? Like, it's just like, oh, this guy, he slaps, right? He comes in and he does what he does, and he's going to do it. And he hasn't lost. Am I right? Right? Like, he hasn't lost in this digital sphere. Shazam is on their way to Shazam is on their way to a title fight. He's on his way to his second title fight. And it's unbelievable that he's been able to adjust himself. And I really need to throw all of the props, and I will give all of the props to the progression that Coy has made as a manager this season. Coy, if you want to talk about if we want to really talk about managers of the year, it's 3 people. It's Shannon, it's Winston, and it's Coy, and it's kind of in that order. I could put Winston above just because of where people are, but right now, Winston's got champs, she's got champs, and the Finstock Exchange has champs. Everybody's got champs, right? So if you want a belt, that's where they are. And so they've proven that, and Coy, I think, has put himself in that tier of managers who can be the difference in a title fight. Because Bibiani even said, and that's the one thing I really, really took from all the stuff that Bibiani said pre and post game, is that I didn't have a manager. When all of these other people had managers, he was out there falling apart with Whitney. And then the Whitney stuff falls apart. And then he's really out there just filming stuff with the kid for what seems like 9 months. If we really go back to last year, it really just seems like the Bibs and kid stuff is just going on for the entire season, which does peak this season. Obviously, it was a good thing to do. But Bibs has just been kind of on the precipice of greatness for so long. And now he's there. He's there in every facet, and he's got every cylinder is firing at full blast. So I'm with you, John. Bibbs is my favorite right now. If you want to talk about what he's got, who he would have to go through, and the confidence that he has. Snyder if Snyder's the only one I wouldn't want to see in the finals, just because of the energy that the person brings. The energy that the person, and I think that's the thing that we've been able to see with Bibiani, is that it takes something from the other competitor or the other manager to throw him off. He's not going to throw himself off. Like, that's just, I just don't think that's going to happen. So, I mean, Boggs, we seem to be on this Bibbs train. I know you're on the Snyder train. Do you see that as a collision course?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I do. I think I do think that Collins will beat the kid, and I think Bibbs will beat Shannon Miller. I think Ethan will beat Tom, and I think Schneider is going to beat Riley, basically. And if for some reason if that happens, I just think just the things with Schneider, and I think he will go to the final against Bibbs. But yeah, obviously we'll see. I don't know how many matches we're going to have next week. I don't believe they'll release a schedule. I think there'll be less matches. I believe. I don't know if they'll show all 4 matches.
But, I might go 2 and 2. If I was them, if I was a scheduling person, I'm not going to tell people team how to do their jobs.
I know John's got to go.
Since the team starts November 2nd, it's probably going to be that they're going to stretch out these singles matches a little bit more.
Yeah, let's.
I know John's got to go, Colin. But do you want to run through the teams thing.
Yeah,
before.
John, you got 5 minutes. Let's run through this. Let's run through this bracket.
Oh yeah, do you want me to just rattle off some things I've got as far as this
well,
bracket
as
goes?
I pull up the bracket, I think.
Yeah, I can rattle off some thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number one, I'm really interested in seeing Witching Power versus Misfits. Two upcoming teams. I think they're both going to be super fun. I really wouldn't be mad at seeing either of these teams win. I think they'd both be great. I'm going to go ultimately with the Misfits just because of what we just saw Eric Zipper do. But man, oh man, that's really a match that could go either way. I think Deception is going to beat the Lethal Weapons. Like I said earlier when we were previewing these teams, Ethan is not enough to carry a team. And the combination of Adam Collins and Marisol, I feel like that's a combination that could upset the Lethal Weapons in the same way that the Looney Bin upset Time Machine last year.
I'm with you.
Odd Couple's
Totally
going to be category. Odd Couple's going to be category 9. Sorry, not sorry. I think Final Exam is going to beat Tom and Paul, though it's going to be close. Just Paul Preston hasn't been able to get his foot in the door really, and Final Exam has a couple chips on their shoulders now. I think Founding Fathers will beat whichever rookie team they go up against, and I do think they'll beat Final Exam just because Final Exam struggles with some of those legacy teams, as we've seen. But then, I don't know. Founding Fathers, obviously, their team's match against Corruption, pretty good. Not great. Not as great as, say, Dan's match against Ethan Irwin when he retained the belt. And then, obviously, Dan struggled a little bit against Ben Bateman. So it's not like these are two, like, completely unbeatable titans in Marlon Roca. Final Exam could beat them, but I do think ultimately it's going to come down to Founding Fathers versus Odd Couple. And I'll be honest, I don't know who to pick. I'll tell you right now, I'd prefer.
You don't have to pick now.
Founding
You don't have to pick now. You got so long. This starts November 2nd, baby. You're good.
I'm just chugging through everything. I'm just like, oh god,
keep chugging, keep chugging. Excuse me, chug. You just got iced. Smirnoff iced. Go.
Oh god, I have Smirnoff ice in my fridge because someone bought it for a party. I'm not gonna drink it. It's disgusting.
Do not.
I do have it in my fridge, and I don't want it anywhere near my body. I don't know. I don't care. It's gross.
Don't lie.
Put it in the bin. That's something Boggs would say. Yeah, man. I think ultimately Founding Fathers and Final Exam, those are ultimately, I think, the two teams to really watch as far as the winner goes. But you can't count out the Odd Couple. Deception could very easily do some good work. It's going to be a tight race. And now I'm going to slink away into the night.
Well, John, enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your Friday. Boggs and I will wrap up the show. We'll see you next week. We'll have a bit of a lighter plate on our handle. Hey, maybe we'll do some of the exhibition
we've got to
match
get a guest on next week, right? Are we dropping?
Oh, we do. Hey, Boggs, take it away with the little plug.
As I go, bye.
Bye, John.
Well, yes, next week we will be joined by Call to Action's Alex Shawshack. Alex Shawshack will be our guest next week. She's obviously all over the kind of Schmoedown verse at the minute. She's on Outlaw Nation. She's on Schmobait. She's on
Love Morning for the Outlaw. Love Morning for the Outlaw.
She's got her own show with Video Drew. Can't wait to have her on. Obviously, she knows her stuff. She's a great personality, knows her movies. So, yeah, she can. We'll have some good back and forth with her. And, yeah, it's great to have her on.
It'd be nice to just talk, too, because if we only have 2 matches this week, and, Leo, thanks for hanging out the whole show, man. We appreciate you. Just 2 matches next week. So, hey, for the dude that's moving right now, only 2 matches to watch next week. Woo, that's more time to set up the studio, Boggs. I don't think you're ready for what's coming. There's no more green screen, baby. There's gonna be some interchanging. I thought I'd see
something today, but obviously
no. We were a slow move. So I had to. Unfortunately, the internet didn't get quite set up.
I was looking forward to the tour before we went live, but obviously.
Oh yeah. You'll get that next week. You'll get that next week for sure. And who knows? We might get the tour for the whole show. If we go live. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Just on that teams thing, I was just going to say.
I'll bring that back up for sure.
Okay. So yeah, just all I'm thinking, all I can see in that team's bracket is the Lethal Weapons. Like, first of all, great name. Secondly,
what was it going to be before?
What did they say? Team TKO. Bad. Team TKO.
Team TKO, so bad. Yeah. Oh, it sounds like a Schmoedown season 1 name that they walked into the AfterBuzz Studios and they were like, "Hey, what's your name? Hey, what's your last name? Who's your Solo? Oh, Solo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. Don't get me started on that.
Boom! Shots fired.
Exactly. And then you can hear the Imperial March music as he's saying it. It's like, come
Stop
on,
it,
like
Box.
seriously. Yeah.
Stop
It's like
killing me.
It's like a fan made movie. Yeah. But anyway,
You're killing me, fam. You're killing me.
Lethal Weapons. Yep, great name. But please, Andrew Guy, if you're listening, please, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, please play properly. Yeah, none of this Schmoedown character. Drop it completely. That's what. So,
Hold
so
on. I'm trying to make you Solo. How do I make you Solo?
Oh,
I need
no.
I need to make Bog Solo here.
No.
Just Boggs.
It's a
doesn't
call
work.
to action for. Okay, doesn't matter. Call to action for one of the action guys. Yes. Okay, Andrew Guy, please listen to me. Forget it. Yeah, you're one of the best team players of all time. Let's be that guy. Let's be that guy that everyone feared and everyone thought, you could be one of the best players in this game. Let's bring that guy back. Okay, let's show everyone, what a real player you are. Forget this. That's why everyone kind of backed him.
Baby.
Everyone backed him. Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
He needs to get
everyone
back
backed
on
him
the
that
fucking
weekend.
couch, Boggs. Just tell him he needs to get back up on the couch.
Yeah.
You need to stand up on that desk again,
Exactly.
and you need to pound your chest.
Yeah, and
let's go.
Yeah, like everyone backed him, or like his fans backed him. Oh yeah, I was really entertained for that. That match against Bateman. Yeah, obviously didn't play well. But, he's a super great. He's super great actor, super great character.
Still
they've
mad.
not mentioned it since. Yeah, they've not mentioned it since. No one, not one person I've seen mention Schmoedown in 3-4 weeks, a month, because it didn't work. It was too much. It was silly. And don't spoil your legacy. Yeah, let's play properly. You're with one of the best players of all time. Yeah, I've seen Rounders.
Have you seen Rounders?
Yeah.
When Matt Damon looks at him and he goes, "Let's play some fucking cards." He goes, "Let's play some fucking cards." He's like, "Let's play some fucking Schmoedown." I need Ethan Irwin to look him right in the eye, and I need that Edward Norton and that Matt Damon. That level, that's what we need right there.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Two dudes at the peak of their power. That's something a lot of people in this tournament are not fearful of, and they should be fearful of, is that he's been just schmoozing us. This is just... Anybody else hear that light?
Yeah. That was like an audio
South Carolina.
yeah. I thought you just played that on YouTube.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what? We Schmoedown. Speaking of Lightning Liz, she's outside.
Speaking of Schmoedown,
she just showed up. Lightning Liz just showed up. She's already ready.
They just came like bang.
Match ain't ready. Match ain't till Tuesday, y'all. Match ain't till Tuesday.
Yeah.
Leo,
right out my ice cream bun. Yeah.
It all depends what version of Andrew Guy we have.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't imagine. Like,
we've been on this train for 2 months, Boggs. What version of Guy is going to show up?
That's what it comes down to. With Ethan, right? I can't imagine him not having that conversation of saying, "Okay, I'm serious about this. Yeah, I want to go far in this tournament. I need you there." Like I like him, Sam, Rachel. I can't imagine them not saying, "Listen, we need you here. We need you to play properly." Because they've skipped Janine for a reason. Like, I really hope it's for the right reasons and not this, he's going to be really fun. No, come on. Let's see you play properly. Let's see you prove kind of how good you are in teams, especially. I'm just really hoping that he's taking it serious now, basically. And Leo, you're completely right. Yeah, I mean that's
the X factor of the whole tournament. Andrew Guy is the X factor of the entire tournament. The only other team, and I'm calling this now, and this is it, right? Like you just gotta throw the shot out, right? Sometimes you just put the bet out. I'm gonna bring him back. The witching power.
Okay.
Do not sleep on the ability of the witching power. That is an absurd amount of knowledge in one place. An absolute absurd amount of knowledge in terms of recent, late, categorical knowledge, in terms of what
festival
both
movies.
Of those amazing
horror they're good at.
Oh my God, horror! I mean, do not let that come across. Do not let dramas come across. Like, there are just some things that you don't want festival darlings. You don't want Oscars. There's more that you don't want with the witching hour than I almost want to say any other team that you know for sure you don't want to give them. And that should scare the Jesus out of you, because they got a lot. So I don't think that the Misfits are going to be able to come in and provide too much of a task. I'm projecting a round 3 TKO. Would there be a TKO or knockout in round 3? Is that just a regular knockout?
That's TKO.
That's a TKO. So a TKO, I think they push the witching hour to their 3-pointer, and I think that's as far as it goes. They just got to answer their 3-pointer to come back into the match. Because that's kind of where I feel like it's my dark horse. They're my dark horse, and I feel like they just kind of they're just unknowns in terms of the team world, because Perry just wasn't well paired before when it came to where they were at before. And now this is a chemistry pairing. This is a team pairing. This is everything you want. So we'll see what we got. Bugs. 2 matches next week. You saying episodes? Because it's a show. It might as well be on Netflix. We need live Schmoedown on Netflix. That's what we need. That's what we're working towards.
That's it.
It's still one of my favorite things anyone's ever done. They did a whole graphic of it, like it was the Schmoedown on Netflix at the top of the banner back in the day. It was so cool. Yeah, Leo going against me, saying I have the Misfits in because I wonder if ring rust might affect Haley in this one. Totally get that. We that's one thing we keep talking about on the show.
My dark horses, and I don't know why. It's a fact, to be honest, it's kind of blind faith. But I'm going for, is it they're called District 9?
Category 9.
Category 9, yeah. I'm going for them. I just think the blend of a singles player and a pure singles player against a pure Inner Geekdom player, if they get it right, I think it can work. Whether it's these
man, that's a weird merge.
I've never seen that. Yeah, exactly. I've never actually seen that happen. Like a Chemist Mets with, I don't know, like a Ben Bateman. Like it just never happens. Yeah, and I've always wanted to see that. So yeah, I mean, I want to see. This is like the first time I've seen that happen.
It's like a mango dragon fruit. You're like, well, I don't like it, but Starbucks, bring it on. I mean, I'll drink it all year long, I guess.
I mean, on paper, it should work. On paper, but
on paper,
I mean, we'll see.
They're my on paper because that's a tough matchup to go up against the Odd Couple, especially the way Snyder is playing right now.
Swatting
with the way that the Android went out against the Kid, I do not think that is the way the Android wants to play for the last time this season, right? Like, I think that's just a vibe that he does not want to carry to next year. And the Odd Couple don't even need to sleep on them because they are title contenders. Like, clearly, year after year, since they've come together in that corruption tournament, they are the Odd Couple for a reason. And if Snyder's playing at this level right now, dude's playing in his childhood bedroom. Ain't more safe you can feel than literally playing in your childhood bedroom. So,
true,
dude. Next week, it looks like we're gonna be seeing how we'll see that. I don't know what match. I don't know what matches we're gonna see next week.
Honest,
no one knows. So, I'm ready for all of it. You're ready for all of it. John's ready for all of it. Woo! We knocked a good hour 22 in this, man. Look at us, doing a whole show.
4 matches, teams. We predicted obviously the rest of singles tournament. We predicted the teams matches. We've obviously dropped Alex coming on next week. So yeah, big things coming, and can't wait for next week. Yeah,
and we're creeping ever closer and closer. Hey, let's get 2 minutes at the end of the show because it's our show. How about that Mandalorian trailer?
Yeah, obviously they've just thrown Emmys at them. Here, take them. Take these 7 Emmys. Yeah,
dude,
keep them. You've earned them.
Ludwig's the man. Yeah. If you don't know that Ludwig is the man, and we are all living in his world.
He's the De Bruyne of the Mandalorian.
Basically. Oh, absolutely. So slept on, unbelievable. He's the LJ Fort. If you want to go my Baltimore Ravens, nobody's talking about this guy. Nobody even knew who he was unless you got the art book for Because the Internet and Camp by Childish Gambino. You had never heard of this dude's name before. And then he comes across for Black Panther, and you're like, oh, they brought this white boy on to do Black Panther? You seen the way the dude dresses? Dresses like he's never left the motherland in his entire life. Like, the dude is so connected to just the roots of humanity that you're just kind of like, we need you. And let me get a Ludwig and Brian B mixtape. Let's go. Because we could knock out some bangers. I feel like the Schmoedown doesn't even know what would hit him.
It's coming soon, right? In a month, end of October, right?
October, baby. We're getting there. I can't wait. But I'll tell you right now, and anyone else out there watching, if you're not watching Raised by Wolves on
I've
HBO
not seen it
Max.
yet. Yeah, I've not seen it
Oh
yet.
my God. Ridley Scott has just got some masterpiece work going over there. Much like the Martian makes you think you're just going to another world. You are in another world, in another place. And we finally found a place for Travis Fimmel, whichever, the guy from the Warcraft movie. That guy finally found a place in the world. Oh God, you don't look like Charlie Hunnam anymore. I'm sorry, but Raised by Wolves has brought you to a place. Yeah, this show is really great. HBO Max is kind of coming through because I get to catch up on like all the DC stuff now that's been going on for the last couple of years. So that's been a Friday live show, guys. We did it. It's late over there for Boggs. He slugged it out with us. But hey, tomorrow's Saturday. You get to wake up in a couple hours and football's on. So, you know, you're not kind of mad. You can have some breakfast beers and finish out the rest of the weekend. So, Boggs, thanks for coming in late, and you're the last one here. So you're kind of like, you know, last one in, first one out. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'd stay overtime. Yeah. But yeah, I've got, to be honest, I'm watching Cobra Kai. So I've got like the last 2 episodes to watch.
Oh, shit! The last 2 are nuts!
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait. So yeah, we'll do our review. Wait. But yeah, I know I'm so like far late watching it, but
I think that is only because you're so tapped into the Schmoes world. Because if you weren't tapped into the Schmoes
like
world,
you've not got a chance to,
you wouldn't even know it existed.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it's awesome, man. So emotional stuff. So yeah, great nostalgia. It's got a wicked mix of like nostalgia and kind of progressing, and you know, like it's got so much like interaction with social media and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, it's great. Like that's what I'm doing after this.
Roger. So guys, thank everyone for joining us. Leo, Tachyon, everyone in the crowd, thanks for hanging out. We'll be back next week. We're going to break down those 2 episodes. We got Alex coming in next week as well. I have a fully stacked show. This is going to be fantastic. I can't wait. I'm going to be in the new studio, so we're going to have a fantastic show for you coming up. This has been the Friday live edition of the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Just keep on commenting. We appreciate every time anybody reaches out to us. Like y'all are the ones. Like Keanu Reeves up in here, like just killing it. So follow us down here at TUSS Pod. Make sure you're following us on Facebook as well, the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. Make sure you're liking those videos every time we put them in the groups. We're putting those in the Schmoedown group, the SEN group. We're putting them in the Outlaw Nation group. Just keep on liking those videos. It's just those little bitty likes. It's just that little bit of click that helps us go that extra distance. So, Boggs, for John out wherever he's out in the, you know, the treacherous lands of California, this has been the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. We'll see you next week.